morning, everybody. So today I wanted to touch base on something that goes back to when I was 15 years old. I came up with this idea of how to picture the human heart as a kingdom, as a land full of mountains and rivers and valleys. And I defined everything. It's just a way to visualize your emotional and mental space. In the center of your heart is a throne. It's the castle on top of a mountain, and from there everything flows. These rivers flow down into the kingdom of emotions and thoughts. The emotions often carrying the thoughts downstream, and they arrive at gardens and villages and, all kinds of symbolic things to represent thought, emotion, spirit, will, your soul, which the soul I defined as being like the landscape, which are kind of given by default, the environmental factors, things handed down from your family and the way you grew up, your psychological development. But today I wanted to talk about the rivers and the streams. It's very interesting how much nature can give you insight into your inner world. These rivers are supposed to bring life. If your source is healthy and what you have at the center of yourself is right, and you're not on that throne on top of that mountain living to serve yourself, there is a flow. And I believe that flow, of course, comes from God. I believe the scriptures talk about the springs from which all things flow. But what happens is with these rivers, emotions should not guide us entirely. I always say, follow your heart, but calibrate the compass. You have dreams, you have experiences that tell you they're not gonna happen, things don't work out, and they're like these rocks or boulders that begin to form and fall and dam up the flow. There's other scenarios in life where it begins to freeze and you have these glaciers in your heart and you're unable to feel, you're unable to move in different aspects of your life. So I like this kingdom heart model to keep myself in check. The goal is, one, to get your source correct, to make sure things are not flowing from self-serving mindset, but instead a giving mindset, because then the water can move. And what happens when water doesn't move, it ends up stagnant. We've all seen nasty puddles that are full of mosquitoes and slime and grossness, and that happens inside too. I'm sure you've heard analogies about the Dead Sea. It's a place to which all these streams flow, but it has nowhere to go, no outlet. So it's full of salt and you can't drink it. It barely supports any kind of life whatsoever. These kinds of things can happen inside yourself. So you want to undam those rivers. You want to thaw those places in your heart that have become cold. Sometimes you need to redirect some rivers, but emotions are important. There's a relationship between our thoughts and our emotions. And if the water's not flowing, you can't think clearly. Your ideas are tainted. But when it comes to relationships, I think of, like a garden, where these gardens happen inside you. You've leased some property in your heart to another human to tend for. And it's a partnership between God, the other person, and you, but they have an influence on you that you have given over unto them. And they can plant good things, they can leave it unattended, all kinds of things can happen. That gets all dammed up. You got to enter into a work state where you begin to clear out the debris, talk things out that have hurt you and block the flow so that you can get life happening again. Sometimes the garden gets completely destroyed. Well, then you have the opportunity to turn it into fertilizer and grow something new. But the point is, having this visual, envisioning your own heart as this landscape is very helpful. And I encourage you to take a look at your own heart. If it was a kingdom, what's the mountains, what's the valleys, what shaped you from your parents and from your life experiences? Where are your rivers flowing the best? Where do you have life coming through you? And where are you dammed up? Where are you frozen? Maybe it can help you to find healing, because we need that flow. That's where life comes in. When you're selfless and you're letting the energy of heaven flow through you by selflessly caring for others, life is much more rewarding. And it doesn't matter what the other person does. I talked about neuroplasticity in the last video. Those pathways in your brain, those are kind of like the rivers too. When you choose kindness and love, you change a lot of things. One, if you get yourself into a selfless state and you do something serving or loving to someone else, you know that kindness exists. And that's a great place to start. Can't believe in God, or you can't work through your different traumas, you can start with one small act of kindness. It proves it exists, it proves you're capable of it, and if those two things are true, then that means someone else is capable of loving you. And the more time you spend nurturing and cultivating that pathway, that flow of love, that river of light, the more possible things are going to feel in the world, the more hope you're going to feel in the world. Let me know your thoughts. Tell me what your kingdom looks like. These rivers of emotion, whether they're bringing life in a lush garden inside of you, or whether they're dammed up and cold, or whether they're toxic with poisons, false thoughts, negativity that has been baked into you. Because most of the pain that we feel is because there's a lie that's poisoning the water and tainting everything downstream. And you got to get it cleaned up. You got to get the boulders out of there so that things can flow for you again. So that's just my thought. God bless you. I hope to talk to you soon.